What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. We are in the final championship round of the Course Madness bracket. It is like 48 degrees in my garage. It snowed in parts of Texas last night, and it is April. This is so bizarre. And for the last time, I'm gonna plug a bunch of sweet disc locker channel plastic. We've got mint discs, Royal Soft Bullets, Eternal Soft Bullets, Apex and Apex Swirl Grackles, an all-time classic, a Glow Freetail. If you're interested in any of those, hit me up. All the proceeds are gonna go to supporting the channel, getting more equipment, getting stuff like backdrops, hiring extra cameraman for tournament coverage, so we can have catch cam and reaction cams. Everything going back into making this as good as it can be for y'all. So, while you clicked on the video, we've got the final two, my best courses for 2025 in DFW or the greater DFW area. As it turns out, we've got two private courses on opposite ends of the spectrum in a lot of ways. On the map, style of play, how flat or elevated they are. We've got the Hideaway up in Terrell, Texas. Actually, if you're looking at the map, it'd be over here. Hideaway, Roadrunner, and Terrell. And then we've got Dino Hills, Pterodactyl Ridge down in Glenrose. So kind of on opposite ends of the city. But anyways, let's get to it. Roadrunner and Pterodactyl Ridge are both coming in at 4.8 rated on UDisc. Both are private pay-to-play courses. Dino Hills coming in at $20. That gets you all-day access onto all three courses on the property, and they are open Friday, Saturday, Sunday only. Reservations are required. Other than that, pretty easy to get a reservation most of the time. It's just they've got other stuff to do than to stand around and wait for people to play hooky from work. Other fees at, well, actually the main fee at Roadrunner, $10. That gets you on to the property. They rent golf carts and they rent push carts. Golf cart rental was kind of steep, but it's a golf cart on a long course, almost a 9,000 foot course, so it was really nice to have a golf cart. Open Tuesday through Sunday, closed on Mondays. Both of these courses are relatively new. Roadrunner was established in 2021, Pterodactyl Ridge in 2023. We've got a couple of layouts on each one. Pterodactyl Ridge really actually only has one layout, their main layout. The other layout on UDisc is a Funky Town Flyers one, which I believe is like a hybrid backwards layout. That was for the Hangover Classic. Yeah, Hangover Classic Temp course. Roadrunner has longs and shorts. Pterodactyl Ridge doesn't really have shorts, but it does have shorter courses on the property. The second course on the property for Hideaway is Scorpion. That's their shorter course, wooded track. And then Dino Hills has the putt-putt course as well. Upkeep. So we'll look at the individual attributes and the reviews that everyone gives it. Upkeep for both courses, 4.8. Yeah, I would say that's to be expected. I mean, they have dedicated course maintenance time and attention. Takes a lot of time and attention no matter how many resources you have dedicated behind it, but both of them have it. So I don't even know what I said there, if that was a coherent sentence, but you know what I'm saying. Shot variety and design, 4.8 at Roadrunner, 4.9 at Pterodactyl Ridge. Both properties have like such a unique difference, and I feel like they are capitalized on to the nth degree. Roadrunner has a little bit of open and a lot of woods, and some of the wooded tunnels are the gnarliest ones in North Texas. I think the only way you get gnarlier wooded tunnels is by going over to Blackberry Pines out in East Texas, because that used to be a timber farm, so it's thick with the trees. Pterodactyl Ridge is playing the edge of this valley. The smaller course is in the heart of that valley. Pterodactyl Ridge kind of plays around it, and it's got a lot of uphill, a lot of downhill, a lot of long, some short touchier wooded shots, not a lot of woods holes, 18, pretty wooded hole. And it's got some like wooded greens, but I wouldn't call it a woods course, but it has lots of gaps to hit. So both have an incredible shot variety. Both are incredibly well designed. Tee areas, 4.7 for Hideaway, 4.8 for Pterodactyl Ridge. All concrete at Roadrunner. All concrete except for two. Pterodactyl Ridge, there's a hole 7, the top of the world shot, off the deck. And then I believe it's hole 9 is also off of a deck, because you're kind of like pinched in a cattle path up against a property line, and then kind of a slope It is a shorter hole though, so you don't really need a huge run up, but tee areas I'd actually give a slight nod to Hideaway. Signage and wayfinding, 4.7 for Roadrunner, 4.8 for Pterodactyl Ridge. Some of the holes at the Hideaway I don't think have tee signs because it's like hard to plant something in the ground there. That is definitely also true for Pterodactyl Ridge, but I think he still manages to find a way to get them in the ground or like bolted to a tree nearby, because I know they're tee sign sponsors for all the holes at Pterodactyl Ridge, so he found a way to get them in there. Amenities. Roadrunner definitely wins because they both have bathrooms. Pterodactyl does not have water. They both have pro shops. They both have camping, and Roadrunner has carts, push and motorized. So amenities are definitely better at Roadrunner. Scenery and views, 4.7 for Roadrunner and 4.9 for Pterodactyl Ridge. Pterodactyl Ridge wins this one, no doubt, slam dunk on the scenery and views. I mean, it is kind of on the northern edge of Texas Hill Country, so you've got some valleys, you've got some ridges, you've got ponds, a couple of creeks, you've got woods. Roadrunner also has woods. It does have 2 ponds. It does have some openness, but around it's kind of just surrounded by like flat farmland. But the course itself is pretty. I think Pterodactyl Ridge is much prettier though. So upkeep, we kind of gave him a tie. Shot variety and design, kind of a tie. Tee areas, also kind of a tie. Maybe a nod towards Roadrunner just because they're all concrete. But the deck, hole 7, the deck at Pterodactyl is so cool. Signage wayfinding is definitely better at Pterodactyl. Amenities is better at Roadrunner. Scenery and views definitely better at Pterodactyl. So if we gave the tee areas to Roadrunner, but upkeep and shot variety and design were tied, that kind of leaves the courses tied. The awards for the course, I know I don't think Pterodactyl made the top courses, which is weird, because Dino Hills Carnivore Valley is in the top courses. Maybe because they don't have any smart layouts, you just excluded them from that. Because Roadrunner is number 1 in Texas in 2024, number 38 in the world for 2024, and then moved up to number 29 in the world for 2025. But I don't see an awards section for Pterodactyl Ridge. That's crazy. They've got to be ranked. It is so good. That doesn't make any sense to me. That really doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So we'll look at the course itself and the length. Pterodactyl Ridge coming in at 8,200 feet, 18 holes, par 61. That would be equivalent to Roadrunner Longs, which is 8,800 feet, so quite a bit longer, 19 holes, par 66, so 5 extra strokes on the par, but 1 extra hole. Hideaway, Roadrunners taking 2.5 hours to play around, typically on the Longs. Pterodactyl Ridge at Dino Hills is taking 2 hours and 45 minutes, so it is a longer course because you're going up and down 10 flights of stairs at Pterodactyl. You're going up 2 flights of stairs at Roadrunner, so much flatter course. It does have a bit of a gradient, kind of from like the entry of the gate down across the fields, over the pond, and into the woods. It kind of just slowly grades down. But Pterodactyl Ridge, like, you're hiking, you're hoofing it in the woods there. You're only taking 6,000 steps for Roadrunner, but you're taking 6,200 steps for Pterodactyl. So even though it's a shorter course, you're taking more steps to finish it. I guess that's like the walk-offs between the holes. So maybe the holes don't fit in the property quite as good, which is weird to think about, because it doesn't feel like there's crazy long walks. Like the walk-offs are pretty intuitive, I think. But a lot of them are like bomber holes, so you kind of want a little bit of a walk-off. There's one spot where you got to be careful. From 7 teeing in, 8 is down there, so you do have to watch out for that. As a thrower on either tee pad, you know, if you're on 8, you're kind of keeping your ears and eyes peeled to make sure no one's throwing on 7. You know, it's kind of a knock against Pterodactyl Ridge, which is unfortunate. I'm a season pass holder out there, so I'm a little bit of a homer, but I'm not afraid to drive out to Hideaway. I've done it a couple times this year already. So Pterodactyl Ridge finishes with a par 4, a sweet par 4, 500-foot wooded tunnel shot. Hole 18 at Hideaway longs also starts wooded and then it ends open. So it's about a 500-foot wooded shot plus a 223-foot open shot. And Dino Hills starts with a volley of 6 par 4s, one after another, after another, after another. And they are very much, I mean, they're true par 4. They're not just long and one of those holes where AMs wish it was a par 4. You have to play placement. You have to throw a far placement shot, and then you can execute your second shot. Hopefully you do well enough to be able to get a putt for the birdie. Hole 1, you throw slightly flat, I guess. Like you're throwing from an elevated tee pad, but the fairway is kind of climbing, and you have to throw to the property line to a corner to then throw up to a slightly elevated basket. Hole 2, you have to throw one of the top of the world shots, and you're throwing down into like a creek channel, and hopefully you have a chance to, if you throw a fan-stinking-tastic tee shot, you might have an eagle bid. But a lot of times you're landing up high, you're throwing down, you're putting back up. Hole 3, one of the softer par 4s on the course, you are blitzing one out into the field as far as you can, hopefully keeping it right to keep your angle open, hyzer one in, hopefully make a putt. Hole 4, you're in the open. There's 2 big trees that kind of create this gap, and you could play like wide and around one, or you could shoot it straight up the middle, but there's a property line nearby. Hole 5 is one of my favorite holes on the course because you're throwing through multiple tree gaps down, and then there's this really protected green that you could be in the perfect landing zone looking at the basket, and you still have to execute a high level shot or play with the wind to get one up and over. And then hole 6, that's the hole that we sponsored, the Disc Locker channel. Uphill the whole way, 700 feet, plays much longer. And the landing zones, you have a gap and a gap and a gap. It's a hole with a big peace sign and rocks, kind of in that shorter landing zone. It's a doozy. I'm very happy with a par on that hole. Roadrunner, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 par 4s. So you have 2 extra par 4s, and yeah, hole 2 is the first par 4. You could go mid circle 2 putt, but it's so tempting to go high because a lot of the trees on that fairway are shorter, so you have room to kind of work a shot in. Rarely works out, kind of baits you into it. Hole 6, 7, 8, struggling to remember those holes out of order, skipping 3, 4, 5, because there's some of those like shorter wooded holes in the middle there. Let's think here. 8. Oh yeah, so 8, we'll do them in reverse order. 8, you're playing up this wooded tunnel, protected with cedar trees. If you just stay in the middle with a middle to left, then you have an angle to attack. 7 is the horseshoe hole, which rather short for a par 4, 446, but it's a huge forehand flare skip, hopefully getting around to the apex of the horseshoe, because if you're looking at the map of the fairway, I'll do this backwards so it's correct for you, but you're teeing off here and then you're throwing there. So I like to throw like a lobster or a sole or something high and left and get it to kind of work down and around to the, hopefully to make it to 12 o'clock, maybe 1 o'clock, and then I have an easier approach into the green. 6, the hole before that, I'm struggling to, oh yeah, so that's a hole, you're backed out into the woods, or backed up into the woods, and you have to execute a shot out, and then you have OB down the left side and 1 guardian tree, so it kind of takes the huge safe hyzer out, so you gotta shape one into the green. That is a good golf hole, because if you just punch one out of the woods, like, you might not be in a good spot. Gannon, I think, eagled it, because he threw, instead of throwing down the woods, he kind of like saw a window up here and pierced that. Anyways, so that was 6, 7, 8 in reverse order. 8A is the little pond hole. 9 is this crazy wooded tunnel shot. It's so hard. It is getting beaten in where there's room to get lucky. I've gotten lucky on it a couple times, making my buddies mad. Then you play 10 across the water, and then 11 is the downhill 777 hole. That one's cool because there is some striped OB out there. You can't just throw it as far as you want. Don't flip it into the pond, but land anywhere else and you're good. Like, you still have to hit a landing zone. And then the green, it's big, wide, flat, open green, but it kind of slopes off on the edges. So if you're really off, you get really punished. If you're kind of off, you kind of have a putt. So that was 11. You got 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 is rad. Actually, no, excuse me. 15 from the shorts is rad. 15 from the longs I don't quite get. It's like a shorter mid-range. Maybe you get a flare skip. You need to stay in the fairway, and then you can execute a longer like turnover or a longer forehand up into the green. A 17 is it's one of my favorite wooded holes out of any of the courses we've talked about so far. You're set way back, and there's all these like berms and bumps and undulations down the fairway that can kind of like gobble your disc up and cause weird rollaways. Meanwhile, there's a pretty fair tunnel. I mean, there's some trees in the middle, but off the tee, I mean, you know what you're going for. You can see the basket, which I like for a hole like that. Because hole 9, you can't see the basket. You just see a long tunnel. You're just trying to yeet it as far as you can and then attack down to the basket. But hole 17, like, you can see the basket. Short for a par 4, it's 500 feet. And then hole 18, 723 feet, you are throwing like a turnover down a tunnel. It's going to take you 2 shots to get out of the woods, and then you're in the open. So hopefully once you get in the open, you can attack the basket and get out of there with a par. I think it comes down to, do you like a wooded course or an open course? Because both of them have landing zones. Both of them have gaps that you have to hit. Both of them have gaps that you have to hit quite a ways down the fairway. Because I like them both for different things. I mean, Dino Hills, I think, is more challenging out of the gate, and then it's just keep your composure through the rest of the round. Don't try and save a mistake you made early. Just keep playing your game, play smart golf. Hideaway is almost the opposite, where like you can kind of throw some blows, trade with the course, get some birdies, get some bogeys, and you can get into a flow, and then the course can bait you late into doing things. Every time I've played out there, I'm actually doing phenomenally well until about hole 10. Like, I make it through 9 and I'm actually pretty happy, and then 10, get into the open, get some breathing room, and then I start to get tricked into attacking the course, and that course still has plenty of fight left. Dino Hills, Pterodactyl Ridge, some of the bomber holes that are later in the round have some airspace, so you can flex a little. Throwing flex shots, throwing high, you can kind of get cute with it. You don't need to throw the tunnel, and it's by no means breaking the hole. Like, if you have a big arm at some of our shorter, like 5,000 foot courses in DFW, where you can like, oh, this hole's broken because I have a slightly bigger arm. It just opens up a extra line, and they all have their own risks. You could get gobbled up in a tree that has a bunch of briars up in the canopy, so the tree is holding on to your disc, or you could skip a little bit off the fairway, or miss your landing zone, or even overthrow the hole. Some of those downhill holes, I mean, it's possible to overthrow it, and now you're like, well, cool, like, I pulled off a sweet Simon line, but what did it get me? I'm still fighting for my par from the other end of the fairway. I wish I could see the score separation that these holes offered, you know, over the last 6 months, 90 days, a year, and see, you know, how many good holes there are, how many bad holes there are, as far as like being too punishing or too soft with no score differential. But then we're getting into like tournament play, like, because I know a lot of people in DFW are tournament players, but even more aren't. And which of you are watching that? I have not figured that out yet. There's no smart layout for Pterodactyl Ridge, which just gets under my skin, because you don't get ratings when you play out there. You don't get to see it on like the blue, green, black, double black scale that UDisc applies to courses. Like, because for example, Roadrunner Longs, very long, highly technical. It is a double black course. But Roadrunner Shorts is just long and technical, single black diamond. Pterodactyl Ridge, you don't get that. And I would guess that it is a double black course. With it being over 8,000 feet and how much danger there is out there. I'm just looking at some of the reviews. I mean, the top 4 reviews for Roadrunner at Hideaway are 5-star, 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 4.5 stars. Pterodactyl Ridge has 5-star, 4.5 star. 4.5 star is glowing. They just maybe seem to be not letting that 5-star review up easily. There's a 3.5 star that says Pterodactyl Ridge is a fun backyard style course, but not challenging enough to be considered professional level. That's interesting. This person said they didn't finish the round because some of the holes didn't make sense. That's really weird. I'm tempted to just give Brandon a hard time and give him second place just because of the smart layout thing. But I'm weird. I like knowing what my UDisc rating is. Let's see. What can be the tiebreaker here? Hideaway doesn't have camping? They have RV spots. So yeah, I guess I don't have tent camping. I want to give it to Dino Hills, Pterodactyl Ridge so bad. So bad. Like between the two, I'm gonna drive there every single time. And it's about an hour either way for me. I'm really like right in the middle. But I think overall, because this isn't a property versus property thing, I think overall with the courses being so close and what Hideaway has to offer with the golf cart rentals, the push cart rentals, the restaurant on site, I think that has to take it. I mean, if you have your own golf cart or your own dirt bike or whatever, like you can take it out to Dino Hills and rip around on it, but like I don't have that. I still maybe prefer Dino Hills personally. I like the vibes out there. I like the views. I love the hike. That is just as fun for me as the disc golf. Like it is a full body like disc golf Ironman thing that doesn't exist anywhere else in DFW. I mean, maybe if you played both courses at Coyote and Beaver back to back, but it doesn't have the elevation that this has or the rough terrain that this has. But I am going to award Roadrunner Hideaway as the Disc Lockers #1 course for 2025's Course Madness bracket. I really thought going into this I was gonna be a Veterans or a Dino Hills homer, and in many ways I was, but I think ultimately there's just a couple of things. And I know Dino Hills is not done improving. I know like there's gonna be water lines run, you know, municipal stuff or a well dug, probably realistically a well dug. And then it's kind of off to the races once it gets utilities out there. Absolutely visit both of these courses. Heck, get a season pass at one of them, whichever one's closer to you or that you like more. Go play some disc golf. Enjoy these courses. If you didn't see your favorite course or you disagree with me, you know, something that should have made it into this championship bracket, let me know. I mean, I'm surprised in the comments no one's brought up the woods at Trinity. Maybe the people that live in that part of the Metroplex haven't seen this content. Because that's one, you know, maybe they could have made it in. I don't know. Or made it deeper in. But yeah, so Pterodactyl Ridge. I'm going to be there in a couple weeks. Super pumped about it. But that's our runner-up to Roadrunner. Recently featured on the Go Throw Tour, which I guess that kind of tells you everything you need to know in some ways. And they have a lot more land to park in, and it's closer to the heart of the city. Pterodactyl Ridge is a smaller parking lot, less hookups. Anyways, I won't belabor this. I could talk all night long. Thank you so much for watching. If you're this far in, go check out these fabulous courses. Give them your support. Let me know down in the comments. What did I forget to bring up? I think I covered it all. I did not imagine a talk for this many hours about our DFW courses this month. But thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Maybe give it a share. And as always, we will see you out there. One. Ah! Thumbnail, 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 thumbnail. We out. I'm cold.